Welcome to this edition of DIY3DTech.com. In this episode, we're going to do the unboxing of the Tarantula. So it's finally come. Ordered it from China, as you can see here. It's taken about 3 weeks to get here to Michigan from China since I ordered it, roughly 3 weeks, which isn't too bad for a package of this nature. Now, one of the things, it's kind of wrapped in this plastic, which is good. So I want to cut this away and remove the plastic, but I wanted you to see quickly see the weigh bill and Chinese everything. So I'll tell you how much it weighed, but it's all written in Chinese. So originally saw this. I've seen the Tarantula around a little bit, and I really haven't paid too much attention because I already have 3 other 8x8 printers roughly. So I've got 2 Da Vinci's, I've got the Wanhao, and then I've got the smaller Fabricator Mini. And so on top of a CNC machine and a laser printer, or a laser cutter, called a laser printer. So I really didn't need another printer, especially one that was only 8x8 or the same size as the other ones that I have. And you can see here the Tarantula. However, when Chuck Hellebuck got one, I just had to get one because Chuck had one. But I guess kidding aside, one of the things that caught my attention with it is how it was built. And I'll talk about that in a little bit more in a second. But because of that, one of the things, if you've been listening or following this channel for a while, I've wanted to do a GMax size printer. I need to print, for practical purposes, at least 12 by 12 objects. I don't have to go really tall in the Z-axis, but XY I need to be, 12. Be able to print something that's fully 12 by 12. So that means I have to be bigger than 12 by 12. And so anyway, well, hopefully you can see this as I burned myself on the halogen stage lights I got off to the side here. This is rather big for unboxing, but this looks rather nice. So pretty much we have a manual, fair amount of English, so that's good. Kind of basic. I've already really looked at it, but here, if you, I think you can see this. So let's talk about this for a second, because back to what I was trying to get at. I want to build something roughly the size of a GMax, but I don't want to spend. I think a GMax is somewhere between $2,300 and $3,000, depending on what you get. I don't want to spend that much money. I'm all for capitalism, but that sure seems to be a lot of money for that. But when I saw this on Chuck's channel, what hit me is the full maker rail construction. So there are no rods in it. So like you see in many other 3D printers. So this meant it would be, all I do is got to get bigger maker rail to make this bigger. So now there's a little bit more to that, and I'll talk about that in a second, but pretty much it was buy bigger maker rail, make it bigger. Now there's a couple drawbacks to this because it does have only the one Z-axis over here. So there's going to be something like that. Now I've had the 2-up before, which has got the one Z-axis, and it's a little wanky, but you can work around it. And again, this printer cost me $237, I believe, shipped, and I'll put the link below to it. And I mean, $237 is to me should be a steal. And once we get underneath this foam, we'll see. But so I already have the maker rail. I've ordered the maker rail, and so that was a little short of $50. Now I bought extra, I have to say. So the real cost of the extra maker rail, and I have to qualify it, I'm going to replace all the maker rail. So this has a black maker rail. The end product you'll see will be a silver one. So I'm just going to replace it all. So that was about $40 for all the maker rail to do that to the size I'm looking for. And then I'm going to have to see the base piece here. I'm going to have to CNC a new base piece. I've already got the acrylic, so I've got really no cost there. But the acrylic would probably be about $20. And again, I'm going to model this and CNC a larger version. I don't know the size yet, so you have to follow along. And the thing is, you can't get too crazy because this is really running on a 20 millimeter wide piece of maker rail, so you can't get too crazy big without spreading this out. And maybe in the future that's what I'll do if this works out. For now, I'm probably going to go 14 by 14 to give me a 12-inch build envelope. We'll see though once I get into it and see how stable it is once I build it. So anyways, that's my thoughts. So let's get a little bit deeper. So again, it looks pretty straightforward. Now, part of the logic in buying this was for 237 bucks. I looked at the cost of if I tried to do this, all on my own, and what it would cost me, and a lot of it is time. So material-wise, I could probably do it a little bit cheaper. I mean, I do have a laser cutter CNC, but by the time I do all that, my time is valuable. I would have more than the 237 in it. So my logic was, this is all the pieces here are laser cut. It's all maker rail, so I've got a laser cutter. I can buy maker rail. So if I want to modify any part of this, I can easily do that. So this, for $237, was a great starting point for me. So taking the cover off, again, we see one of the first laser cut pieces, and nice acrylic piece. And so this is obviously the bed holder, which this is one of the first things I'm going to have to model. I'll probably do that in OpenSCAD so I can scale it easier. And then because of the size of my, this is probably about as big as I could cut out on my laser. So I'm going to have to CNC the piece, because I can go up to almost 2 feet on the CNC, where the laser is about 12 by 10. So anyways, that looks nice. 2 small spools of material, real cute spools. Love the orange, love the orange. If you notice that the site is kind of themed orange. I spent a lot of time in the Netherlands, and I've just come to kind of adopt orange as a second color. So, but 2 spools of plastic, that's kind of nice. They're small, but not bad. Looks like a bunch of wiring, all nicely harnessed. Looks like DuPont connectors, or DuPont-like connectors on the end of most of these. So all pretty straightforward. We got a power cable with some dangerous ends. Now, one of the pieces I don't like about this right off the bat is, notice it's only got 2 power cables. There's no ground for this. So I'm highly doubting the power supply is double insulated. So probably a big no-no, but we'll take a look at that. But that's an easy thing to fix. So let's take this aside, and we have another magic foam cover. And sure enough, so let's take a quick look at the power supply. And that's a good beefy power supply. And it does have a grounding terminal. So big suggestion, number 1, if you get this, do not use this cable with it. I would definitely, and I will get a grounded cable, so this has a ground on it. And if you wonder what ground means, go back and look for my video on how electricity can kill with the laser cutter. So you'll kind of get an idea. So anyways, but nice power supply. So far, that's probably about the only shortcoming I've seen. Now, all these are supposed to be laser cut, which is really, really cool. Not a bad job on the laser cutting. Very nice. Looks like a good stock acrylic, probably roughly, I think, 1/4 inch acrylic. So all the pieces. Let's take a look at the motor. Motor's nice quality. These look like open build style motors. I don't think I've got one here on the workbench to compare, but I think they're all in the shop area. But these are, when I built the laser diode cutter, I purchased a bunch of steppers from open builds, and they're stamped open build up here, but they look just like these. So nice quality. I kind of like the fact it has the plug on here. Now there's good and bad to this, but because if you break one of these, then the motor's worthless, versus it having a pigtail. But then the other piece is, it makes it nice, you can plug and unplug it. So pluses and minuses, I guess, to everything, but motors look nice. So a bunch of T-clips for the rails, some more wrenches and stuff. The infamous kind of, what is it, hot end. Now, I'm going to build it with this hot end. I don't know if I'm going to continue to use this hot end. I've got a real nice E3D that I bought for another project that I never ended up using. So I think I'm going to probably end up using that eventually, but I'm going to probably start with this one just for grins and giggles and see how this all works about. However, it doesn't look bad. I mean, for the money, it definitely looks fine. Some extra fan stuff, more bolts and end clips, and a memory card, which is very cool. I'm assuming the electronics package or something is over in here. No, more stuff. So spring coupler, the brass rod holder. So it looks like the infamous pile of bolts and stuff, and my wheels, more laser cut parts. I'm starting to sweat a little bit. The belts. When I did the 2-up, that was quite a project. That took far more time than I had anticipated. I'm hoping that this one actually comes together a little bit better than that did, and I think this one actually will, because it's not MDF. It's actually acrylic and maker rail. So let's lift this out, and voila, we have even more. I gotta say, I am really impressed with the packing of this. So again, more little pieces, bunch more screws and fans. Here's the electronics board. So there's the electronics board. It looks pretty much like the one in the Wanhao. I forget what they call these. There's a name for this model board. So versus the Mega running ramps. Actually, a lot of people like these, but I actually prefer the Mega running ramps because I understand it a little bit better, I guess, because I understand Arduino. Let's take a look at the lead screw. Nice lead screw. I don't think it's a real Acme, but it looks pretty close to being an Acme style. It's definitely not just an M8 threaded rod. So I don't know if you can see this on here, but it's very much like an Acme. Now the pieces, as I mentioned, now here's all the here's all my maker rail. Now it's black anodized, and the thing is, I love black anodized, but I couldn't get black anodized. They were out of stock every place I looked for black anodized when I went to do this. So, instead of mixing black and silver, I'm a little bit particular in that. I just decided to buy all new maker rail. What the heck? It wasn't that much, because I am. You'll probably see this show up in another project. I'm actually going to probably use this maker rail to build a small rack. I have a nice Onkyo stereo system because I'm a little bit of an audiophile, if you will, and I have a listening room, and I've got the Polk RT12i speakers. They're monstrous speakers, and all the big cables, all the crazy stuff audiophiles get into. Now, I'm not as crazy as some of my friends that have spent $100,000 on the stuff, but I've spent a fair amount. And what I want to do is, I have a tube buffer and my DAC and that sit on a shelf, and what I want to do is I want to suspend them from a cool looking rack. And that's how I actually got started in 3D printing. Is I bought the 3D printer to print stuff for the stereo, believe it or not, and started a website called DIYHiFi.com. And my interest quickly moved to the 3D printer as just being more fun, and I just listened to the stereo. So someday I might go back and revisit it. But again, the maker rail, high quality stuff. The display electronics, sure, atypical. If you haven't seen it before, spin control, push the button type stuff. Actually, I have one of these. I have never gotten a chance to put on the Fabricator Mini. Maybe I'll do that on vacation or something if I get time. Now, these, interestingly enough, are the side pieces. So this is one of the big modifications I'm going to make. So these are going to get replaced by a 500 millimeter length of maker rail. So to make it wider. So I'm going to make it wider, and I'm going to make it longer. So I'm going to, again, try to come out with 14 by 14 build, maybe 15 by 15. I was really thinking 16 by 16, but I'm concerned that that might not work out. Now, I'm wondering, yep, that's what I thought. No. Let's see if there's anything here underneath there. Whoops, sorry for bumping you. You'll wiggle for a little bit, but you'll be okay. I'm just wondering where the actual bed is. Oh. It's hidden. It was hidden. I missed showing you something. There was a secret compartment. Let's go back into this very top piece. This was covering it, and I didn't notice it where this was sitting on top. So here's the build plate. Now, this is a heated 8x8 build plate. If I get this out of here. This is a heated 8x8, so what I'm going to build is not going to be heated. It's just going to be, it's going to be roughed up acrylic. So I'm only going to do PLA in that on it, so I'm really not worried about it, but it does have a nice heated bed. It's your atypical heated bed attached to aluminum plate with a Build-Tack type surface. So again, not all bad, not all bad. I don't see anything wrong with it at all, actually. So it's got your thermosis coupler, and it's got your power, nice gauge lines, your PET-E tube for the extruder. I've got some different PET-E tube, because I'm going to go bigger, so I'll probably need a bigger piece of tube. So I've got a bigger piece of tube already. So, okay, I wanted to see that. So this, because what happens is these two mount together. This lines up, and I'm holding it upside down, so this mounts to the carriage, this mounts here. There's springs between the two if you're familiar with 3D printing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to model this. I'm going to make this bigger so these whole patterns stay the same, and I route these out on the CNC, and then I build a bigger carriage for, our plate. I'm going to do this at probably like 1/4 inch acrylic, and then I'm going to sand the acrylic to give it a roughed up surface for the PLA, because I want to try PLA and TPU and that kind of stuff in it and see how it all works. Not really going to go with ABS. I'm really not worried about it. Again, the finish of these parts are actually pretty good. So in summary, that's pretty much what's in the box of the Tarantula. Again, the build on this I think will actually be fairly short. I'm actually preloading this in the queue. I typically run a pretty good queue because I travel a lot for business, so I queue up a lot of videos, play them out, do more. So you'll probably see this come out, the finished version of this, probably around the end of July, beginning of August. So if you're looking to do, convert or build your own version of the GMax out of a Tarantula, stay tuned, because I'll definitely see it, and I'll do a mini series of how I do it and some of the problems, because there's always problems. Ahead of this, I've got a couple different series on building things that I've already done that are in the queue, like changing out the logic board or the laser cutter and things like that are pretty interesting also. But again, I'm pretty excited about this, because one of the things I think with the 12 by 12 envelope, I'll be able to do a lot more things that I just can't do on this 8-inch size, because that's the one thing the goal of this channel, if you will, is to develop systems for home or cottage manufacturing, small run manufacturing. And the problem is this 8-inch build is very limiting. And one of the things I want to do is work my way around it economically. Again, I could go out and I could buy a GMax. I think they're great printers, but the price is just way too high. So for $237 for this, and less than another $100 for roughly around 1/10 of the price of the GMax, I'm going to come out with a pretty a printer that's pretty close to that size. I don't think I can match the size in that price envelope, but I can come pretty close, because I think if you're going to go with the taller Z-axis, you'll have to swap the rods, and you'll have to do some major changes. But I think to get a 12 by 12 print size out of this is pretty reasonable, with most of the parts and some minor modifications. So anyways, hey, if you found this interesting, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. More of this coming. Stay tuned.
Click like below and subscribe to the channel to keep up to date on all of our projects.